It just becomes this clash of teeth. It's my teeth are sharper. No, my teeth are sharper. No, my teeth are. You didn't call your hit. You gotta go. You're a terrible ref. I don't want to go. Blah, 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 blah. You boys back in the office, and we're ready to talk smack. Educate, I guess. I can do two things at once, right? No big deal. I'm seeing some wild videos out there about refs just acting a fool. And can't have this. Can't have this. We got a problem. We can't really say that we're growing the sport in the community. We're doing all these things for Airsoft, blah, blah, blah. But we let toxic refs go unchecked or toxic field managers go unchecked. We have to keep staffs and field staff accountable as well, because they are, whether you like to admit it or not, part of the community. You need to understand that everything you do as a ref, or really as an employee of any business, nothing I'm going to talk about is new or these innovative techniques or policies. This is stuff that happens in the regular adult business world. We just don't see this, for whatever reason, in the airsoft world. I don't understand why. It's always blown my mind. Everything you do has a direct impact on how your business is perceived. And in some cases, depending on the particulars, this also includes what you can do in your personal time and what you throw up on social media. If I say something problematic online, my business might feel the impact of that, because people are not going to want to support my ideals. So they believe that if they support my business, they thereby support me and thus support my ideals, which they disagree with. So they're going to go spend money somewhere else. To be fair, this isn't always the case, like 100% of the time. There's no like blanket statement, it's always this or it's always that. That doesn't exist in business, because we're dealing with human behavior. So for instance, Starbucks is a great example of this. For the longest time, a lot of people criticized Starbucks because they said they were anti-Second Amendment, they were anti-law enforcement, all these other things, because of what employees were doing. Entry-level employees, baristas, cashiers, stuff like that. Not because of any policy that, any corporate policy that came out. Because of what their low-level employees were doing. I still drink Starbucks. I know firearms instructors that drink Starbucks. I know tons of cops and first responders that drink Starbucks. It's either because A, they don't make that correlation that Starbucks is this big evil company because of what some minimum wage chucklehead's doing, or B, they don't care. They don't care about that. They just care about the product, and it's a quality product, so they spend the money on a quality product. They don't really care about the politics or the perception or the PR side of the house. They just want to drink coffee. So it's not always the case, but it is a large factor, or sometimes a contributing factor. DoD's had a policy that I've always loved in reference to what a military member does when they decide to participate in something political in nature. So like if I go to a candidate rally or a protest or a sit-in or something like that, effectively the policy is you kind of do whatever you want, go or do whatever you want, say whatever you want, as long as you don't involve the DoD. You can go to a gay pride rally as long as you don't wear your uniform or involve the DoD. So you can't go, I'm a U.S. soldier and I support this. No. You can't. Timeout, violates policy, because you're now involving the branch. You're involving the DoD. This is about you as an individual. Don't involve your boss. Does that kind of make sense? That, what I just talked about, will effectively be the basis for this whole video. Another thing that really kind of ticks me off, or that I don't like what I see, is profanity directed at customers. That's always been a big red flag for me. Going back to the professional side of the house, when I saw someone on a call, an officer or a partner, use profanity, to me, I took that as an indication that they were starting to lose emotional control, or they were getting frustrated. They were losing control, because in the unwritten rules of American professionalism, profanity isn't allowed. This is the same unwritten rule set that states if you go to like a job interview for a bank or a big company, you wear a nice shirt, a tie, slacks, shoes, some semi-casual professional attire. So this isn't a penal code or anything like that. This is just sort of this standard within a community of professionalism that the American professionalism world is sort of adopted. Is that too many words? Yeah, I kind of messed that up, didn't I? You'll figure it out, you're a smart kid. I've been in fights. I've had people at gunpoint. I've had dudes with 6-figure warrants. I've taken dudes to jail. I have accomplished these things without the use of profanity. So if I have some kid who's overshooting or feathering, or if I'm an Airsoft Ref and I have someone breaking a rule at my field, why do I think that profanity is an effective tool to enforce what I'm supposed to enforce? I've never understood that. I want someone to give me a logical reason as to why profanity is an effective tool. Because if it's not an effective tool, why are you using it? Now, before I get accused of being a Mormon youth pastor, I personally swear more than the average human being, to be fair. Anyone who's been around me understands this. Anyone that was in the army with me, anyone that I would have private conversations with, knows I curse like a Def Jam comedy special. But when you're dealing with an aggressive person, your job should be to do everything feasible or reasonable to de-escalate that situation. An agitated person is just not going to listen to you. They're too emotionally invested in the argument to move forward. So you have to figure out how to navigate that event and bring them back down to a level that you can communicate on. That's basic human interaction. That's basic human communication. And we throw it out the window sometimes. I would love for someone to put in the comments a specific instance, link a video in the comments, tell me about a time in the comments where you were talking with someone or you were trying to engage in an argument, for lack of a better term, and then boom, you started using profanity. You're like, oh my God, he's using profanity. Oh no, he wins, man. When does this happen? As a ref, one of your main functions above all else is control. You must always remember that you're in control because you're the employee and they're the customer. You have the power. You do, legally, you have the power. You are an agent of the property owner. It's kind of the same way security works. If they don't listen, you ask them to leave. Now, if they don't leave and they continue to be a problem, just walk away, call the police. That's it, baby. That's all you gotta do. Everything else after that usually just involves your personal ego. Now, California law does authorize an individual to use minimal physical force to prevent someone from re-entering a space that they've been kicked out of. So let's say, give an Airsoft specific example. Homie Magdunts people, and you kick them out, and they try to come back onto the field. You can, per California law, physically stop that person from coming back on the field after they just did intentional harm and malice to other players. So you have to physically prevent them from physically going back on the field because there is a safety problem. California law says that's groovy to go. If you're going to kick a player out, this is a way to try and manage that event. Depending on the severity, inform them to leave after the round is ended. So when they go back to like their staging area, their tables, their cars, or whatever, generally speaking, most fields have like a common staging area, meaning it's, a bunch of tables or then a parking lot surrounded by a bunch of other people. There's usually not like, I've never seen a field where everyone gets their own individual little cubby. If you have a common staging area like most fields do, other players will see that you've kicked out a problem player, so that's good. That's going to go in your benefit because now other players are seeing that you are taking active steps to remove a problem to further enhance your customer's experience. You want that attention because kids are going to start recording with their phones and their GoPros at that interaction because they're thinking it's going to go viral. Well, it's going to go viral, but we want to go viral in your favor. See where we're going here? You give them 5 minutes to pack their gear and leave the property and then just casually walk away. The end. That's it. You don't engage them. You don't talk to them. Hey guys, a ref saw you do this. It was an egregious rules violation. Because of that, you're being ordered to leave for the rest of the day. They can cry, they can whine, blah, blah, blah. You relax, stay calm, and just let all that stuff bounce off. They're going to swear, they're going to do all this. And cool. Use profanity. Swear at me. Do all these horrible things. You're going to stay there, stoic and professional, while all these kids film all this interaction, and now you look like the professional, and they look like the jerkbag. I've used this line a couple times, and it ticks dudes off. I understand what you're saying, however, you're still being ordered to leave. If you want to talk about this further, we can do that after you've taken your gear from the field and packed it in your car and remain at your car. If a parent of a player, or if a young player shows this to their parent, if a customer sees one of your employees or sees you, the employee, firing up a dab rig or doing something crazy, and then going off on this angry tirade, it's laced with profanity and general unprofessionalism, well, that's going to cause a problem. They don't want their child going to a field that has those guys as employees because they don't trust that those employees are going to maintain a safe environment for their child. With adults don't really care. If you're in your 20s or 30s, you don't care. If you're a parent and you see that and your 12-year-old goes to that business, my kid's not going there. I'm going to go somewhere else where they don't hire these people. Is that to say that you should refrain from smoking, drinking, socially? No, I'm not doing that. I smoke weed every weekend. I generally drink every weekend. In May, I'm going to compete in the High Rollers BJJ tournament in Vegas. What do you think I'm going to do when I get there? It's not the thing you do, it's the manner in which you present yourself. Case in point, Willie Nelson. Can we all agree that we love Willie Nelson? Willie Nelson, for decades, was smoking weed and singing country songs, and rednecks love Willie Nelson. Country fans love Willie Nelson, which is ironic because they might be anti-marijuana, but they're super pro Willie Nelson, and that seems to be like we don't like weed. But we like Willie Nelson though, like that's okay, that's fine. Like, oh, it's because he's like this calm, peace-loving guy. He's not out there swearing up a storm, pissing people off. He's Willie freaking Nelson. Toby Keith even did a song about when he smoked weed with Willie again. Did we forget that song? Toby Keith, for crying out loud. Everyone in America has the right to free speech and to express their individuality. The government cannot and should not suppress that. But when we deal with the business world, it's a very different animal. Look how ESPN did Paul Pierce dirty. What did he do? Why did we get rid of him? Because he had a party? Was that did he say anything wild? Was he doing anything horribly problematic? No. He's having a party, what I assume it was at his private residence, and he hired some exotic dancers, shall we say. ESPN canned him for that because they didn't want to get associated with that. Does that mean that we in America have a problem with that? No, it's in music videos all over the place. But when you're an employee and you do that, the business or your employer is going to have a conversation with you. As managers, we have to have some kind of standards of professionalism or of acceptable conduct and take some kind of necessary accountability for the actions of our own staff. When someone starts to mess with your money, you got to mess with theirs. Because of what I've seen kind of all over the country in the last few months, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to write up a professionalism and a conduct policy that addresses this stuff. So if I have an employee of my field or my business that does something horribly problematic or wild or just wildly inappropriate, and I think it's going to negatively impact the business, you're out. Love you guys. You mess with my money, I'm fire you.
Caber, who the f*** are you, nerd?